Today, we're diving into the psychology behind a question that I'm sure you've been asked 1,000 times, and maybe you've even struggled to answer it yourself.
Okay, picture it. You're at a party, you're meeting someone new, and then it comes. So what's your favorite song or movie or book? You know the drill. For some people, that answer just rolls right off the tongue. But for so many of us, it's just a blank. You just can't pick one.
And that blankness, that hesitation, it gets totally misinterpreted. People assume that if you don't have a favorite, you must not really care that much, that you're indifferent, maybe even a little passionless. Ouch.
But not having a favorite isn't a sign of indifference at all. Nope. It's often a sign of something much more interesting happening inside your brain and with your personality. And the psychology behind it is fascinating. So let's get into it.
First off, let's talk about the literal wiring of our brains. Because for some people, not having a favorite isn't about choice. It's about neurology.
There's an actual documented condition called musical anhedonia. Now, this isn't about disliking music. It's a very specific inability for music to trigger the brain's reward system. So people with this can absolutely love movies, food, art, but music just doesn't give them that same pleasurable kick. And don't think this is some super rare thing. Research shows that somewhere between 5 and 10% of the population experiences this, which means you almost certainly know someone in this group, whether they realize it or not. Brain scans, like fMRIs, show us exactly what's happening. In a typical brain, the areas that process sound have a really strong connection, like a superhighway, to the brain's reward network. But in a brain with musical anhedonia, that connection is way weaker. The pleasure signal just doesn't get through with the same oomph.
But it's not just about the brain's reward system. For a whole lot of people, not having a favorite is really about having a fundamentally different cognitive operating system.
We're talking about many neurodivergent people, including those with autism or ADHD. For them, the whole idea of a single, static favorite just doesn't really line up with how they process their interests. Their brains don't organize things into a neat, ranked list.
Instead, their interests are often incredibly intense, but also super fluid. A favorite might change day by day or even hour by hour. It all depends on the context. It's not about finding the one best thing. It's about what fits the moment perfectly. And that makes the idea of a single all-time favorite kind of irrelevant.
As one clinical observation puts it, for a lot of neurodivergent people, the very act of trying to create a fixed hierarchy feels completely unnatural, almost impossible. It'd be like being asked to name your favorite breath of air.
So beyond the brain and our cognitive styles, there are also some powerful psychological reasons for not having a favorite, and these are tied directly to our sense of self and how we all change over time.
In psychology, there's a recognized pattern known as the lack of coherent identity schema. Now, that sounds heavy, but it basically describes an unstable sense of self, and one of its main features is, you guessed it, having no strong, fixed preferences or values.
But hold on, because this isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's strongly linked to a really positive personality trait: high openness to experience. People who are high in openness have broad, eclectic tastes. They're curious explorers. So for them, picking just one favorite would feel like limiting all their amazing options.
And think about it. Our relationship with favorites totally changes as we get older. In our teens, our favorite band is like a badge of identity. In young adulthood, we're exploring everything. But as we mature, we tend to have fewer favorites, but the ones we have are much deeper. The very definition of favorite just evolves. So after looking at all of this, it's pretty clear we need to reframe the whole idea. Not having a favorite isn't a bug in your system. It's a feature.
So, let's do a quick recap. The reason you might not have a favorite could be your brain's unique wiring, a neurodivergent cognitive style that just doesn't do ranking, a more fluid sense of self, or a personality that's just so open it loves too many things to choose.
Ultimately, this is the main takeaway. Not having a favorite is not a deficit. It's a sign of a flexible, adaptable, and non-categorical way of engaging with the world. It means you appreciate things based on context and your current experience, not some fixed internal leaderboard. So maybe we're all just asking the wrong question. What if, instead of asking for a single, static favorite, we started asking, what's speaking to you right now, or what's inspiring you this week? Now that opens up a much more interesting conversation for everyone involved.